Hypocrisy no longer knows any bounds in the American right wing. If I say to you, lock her up, what do you think of? If you were paying attention during the 2016 election, when I say lock her up, your mind should immediately go to all of those calls to lock up Hillary. During the Republican National Convention, everyone from Donald Trump's now indicted National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, who was there egging on crowds at Trump's rallies or the RNC, wherever, to lock her up, to crowds chanting it at Trump's rallies while Trump looks around smiling and pleased, to Trump's tweets, to Trump's debate statement that if he were in charge of the justice system, that Hillary would be in jail. They've been calling for Hillary to be locked up despite not having been charged with any crime, despite the obvious reality that Hillary Clinton is not going to be charged with any crime. And recently, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi said, rather than impeach Trump, she'd like to see him in prison. Now, we can argue about whether Nancy Pelosi's position on impeachment makes sense. We can have a debate about all of that. But there is no question that this is not a unique thing on one side of the aisle. On the one hand, Nancy Pelosi says she'd like to see Trump in prison for the list of crimes that Robert Mueller said there is substantial evidence for. And on the other hand, lock her up has been, a stalwart fixture of the American right for 3 years at this point. But Fox News propagandist Sean Hannity is outraged at Nancy Pelosi, saying that calls to lock up political opponents are, quote, despicable. Does hypocrisy no longer matter? Do double standards no longer make any difference? And the answer is they don't to the right. We've been pointing that out for a long time. Check out what Sean Hannity had to say.
Despite these obvious flaws, this bias, this deception, Mueller's report, the irrefutable fact that there was no collusion, of course, the rage Trump Democratic Party, they're just hell-bent on one thing only, and that's impeaching the president. They don't have a reason. They don't state a reason. But, of course, they get the assistance of the psychotic media mob's conspiracy theorist liars. And tonight, this is no longer a Democratic Party like of Scoop Jackson, even Joe Lieberman. Instead, it is now the party of anti-Trump rage and psychosis. And for some reason, even impeaching Trump apparently is not enough. We had Speaker Pelosi now apparently telling senior Democrats she'd like to see Trump behind bars. Based on no actual crime, she wants a political opponent locked up in prison. That happens in banana republics, beyond despicable behavior. And by the way, they would literally turn, in many ways, the USA into a country we would no longer recognize.
Wait, hold on a second. You're saying that telling political opponents not charged of any crime that you want them locked up, or you plan to lock them up, or you would lock them up if you were in charge? You're saying, Sean, that that's unbecoming of the United States, and it's like what happens in so-called banana republics? I got it. Well, remember when Donald Trump said this to Hillary Clinton during a debate in 2016?
You know, it's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Yeah, because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Jeff Sessions previously chanted, lock her up. There's a very long list. But the problem is Nancy Pelosi wanting to see Trump in jail for crimes that the Mueller report says there is substantial evidence of. Irony is dead. Satire no longer exists or never existed on the right. Intellectual consistency is completely irrelevant. I've talked about how Donald Trump has weaponized ignorance in this country. He's also weaponized hypocrisy. For all of my focus on Trump, I keep trying to remind you that Trump is a symptom, not the disease. This is a really good example. The disease is the anti-intellectualism that has spread throughout the country and American conservatism and has allowed someone like Trump to come in. Trump appealing to the basest instincts of the American right wouldn't be possible if they were not appealable to, I guess is what I'm trying to say, on that basis. Weaponizing their ignorance about everything from trade to immigration, as Donald Trump successfully did during his presidential campaign, that is not something that Trump created. Trump took advantage of it. And in the same way, there is this immunity to their own hypocrisy that Donald Trump is able to weaponize, that the American right is able to weaponize, that propaganda outlets like Fox News certainly know how to weaponize. And this problem precedes Donald Trump. This problem is going to continue after Donald Trump. There is no doubt whatsoever. And this is just one example of that. It's an embarrassing one, but on the Fox News echo chamber, it does really well, and it really fires up the base.